Hello, it's Ian again coming to you for another episode of iAntonio.media. And what's it all about today? Well, today is a very short episode. It's going to be about 12 minutes long. And I was invited recently to a film premiere for Dilemma, a film by Leo Acksel, produced by Georgia May, and featuring the entire film score by Matteo Hoyer. Now, Matteo is a past student of mine, and this makes me particularly proud. This is a story of the coming together of art and perfection and all these wonderful things that help us to make a mark in this world. Now, I accompanied Matteo along with some others, I think it was about 19 students, in the 13th grade as their teacher for advanced level English. Now, they all made it through their Abitur. However, Matteo's story stands out because it exemplifies a lot of what it is that drives me even to do podcasting. I'm very excited about it because we talk about something called liminality. Now, liminality, I'm not going to tell you everything right now. This is just an introduction so you know what you can expect. Liminality speaks to a state of creative tension that happens between where you are and where you want to be. We talk about perfectionism and how that affects work and progress and, the results that you get. We talk about discipline, some of the challenges that Matteo faced creating this musical score for the film Dilemma. Now, that was it. As I said, it's just part one. If you're interested in also listening to part two, where we ask 3 more questions, do subscribe to the show. You can find it at iAntonio.media. If you don't know already, I don't know where you're listening from now, but it's on Spotify, it's on YouTube, it's on Apple Music, it's everywhere. And if you use your podcast player or maybe Spotify, all you have to do is to check the info button there, or whatever you call it, and under info you will see links to the show notes page where there'll be more information on Matteo, a little more on me, a little more on this episode, and also a little about the film Dilemma. I saw the film. It was a short film, however I would definitely recommend it. I was sitting on the edge of my seat for the entire film. And I think you'll enjoy it as well. If you're into suspense and crime stories, then you'll definitely like this one. You'll also be hearing a little of this music in the background, so you have a little preview of what you can expect when you do get around to watching. And I really, really, really hope you enjoy it, and I hope you feel at least a fraction of the sense of pride that I'm feeling right now. All right, so without further ado, on with the show. Matteo, I have prepared a few questions for you today, and you were generous enough to go through these questions for me. I think you had maybe a day or two to look at them. And the first of these questions has to do with liminality. Now, liminality is described here as a kind of a state of being in between, with our focus being perfectionism, self-kindness, and creative surrender, so to speak. The first question goes like this. When you were scoring the film, was there a moment you realized perfectionism was holding you back? And what helped you to let go?
All right, I would say perfectionism always shows as endless tweaking, and it was holding me back at few points. So especially when I've written down already some notes or some cues or some demo tracks, and then the final version wasn't finished, or for me it was never finished, and it's still not finished. But the micro editing and harmonies and whatever I did and still could do was holding me back. But there are also deadlines I have to do or to reach, and that was mostly the point where I needed to stop focusing on the perfectionism, because I had to continue with the next scene, for example, because there were multiple scenes in the movie, of course, and I don't have endless time. So perfectionism was holding me back at some points, yes.
Yes. I mean, I sometimes contend with that myself, and the perfectionist, or let's say the deadlines, tend to put a hard limit on the creative process, which also has an effect on my creative work. So I can relate to that. All right, thank you for that answer. The second question I have was, do you think we romanticize discipline too much in the creative process, especially in school or music or education?
I would say discipline is essential, especially also in scoring. But real discipline in composition is also about showing up and listening deeply to what the movie or the director wants. Especially sometimes you have to know what to do, but there are also times where you just don't know what to do, and then you just need to rest, set back, maybe take a walk outside and think about the creative process you're doing when there's no creativity in you. So yeah, I would say sometimes you need to take the risk to not doing what you should do.
Okay.
To achieve your goal.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that. This question is a little bit strangely framed, I think, because, I mean, when you think of to romanticize discipline, yeah, I mean, I don't know if as a discipline to me seems sometimes so, well, I'm not going to say dry, but it seems regimental. So for me, romance is something that feels good. You dance into it. You allow it to flow, and the discipline process feels more like the deadlines, the rigid deadlines, and the rigid framework. So that in itself is a little paradoxical, putting the two together. All right, so I'm gonna just move on to the next question then. Right, before I get carried away in this romance of discipline. What did the most difficult day of the scoring process teach you? Not just about music, but about yourself.
I would say the hardest day for me was in the beginning, the early process, where I needed to get some ideas on the table. And personally, I love orchestra writing. But in this score or soundtrack, I did the opposite. I mostly used synthesizers because I got asked to do it so. And it was hard for me to get into it because I never written a score with synthesizers before, mostly just with orchestra. And the hardest point there or day was to believe in me and believe in myself to do the right thing, because there were moments where I thought maybe I should quit because I really was frustrated in what I'm doing, because I had no idea what I'm doing, and I got the result and I'm happy with it now.
I'm kind of curious. How did this all begin? When was the first impulse, or where did it come from? Was it a friend who invited you, or how did you get pulled into this movie project?
So actually, I think it was 1.5 years ago, or actually 2 years ago. I'm not sure. I think 1 year ago, in the beginning of last year, somewhere around that. I got a message on Instagram from the director that he liked my music that I was posting there. And then short term, 1 week after that, we had a meeting and we were talking about the movie already, about his first ideas. Then I got home, we're sitting on my piano and started some sketches already. And then he sent me the script, and then we had another meeting, and then I was invited over for the shoots and the movie sets. And after it, I had the job, and I tried to write the best score I ever did. I'm not sure.
Yes.
But Yeah, I've been there at multiple shoots
Mm-hmm.
on set, and also it was good to see how the movie were shot, because I could write down some ideas already, and the emotion I got by viewing how they shoot the film is completely different in comparison to just seeing the movie. So that was actually how it ended up.
Okay, that's interesting. I had a similar process once where, well, I wasn't making movie scores, but there's a time when I was very preoccupied with the art of photography, and I spent a lot of time learning composition. And I got to a stage where every film I watched, I would see how the image was composed, as in rule of thirds, dynamic symmetry, where the focus points are, and all these things, just Fibonacci spiral and leading lines and all these things. And I was very preoccupied, again, because of photography, with just the composition of the physical two-dimensional image that we see on the screen. And I couldn't pull myself out of that. And there was a time when I couldn't really see the story that they were trying to tell in the movie without thinking about the whole production that's going on around it. I had visions of the film in front of me and a whole team of producers around them, people holding cameras, people holding mics, and so on. Yes, I saw the screen and then I imagined all these people around it. So it enriched my ideas, and not just the story being told, but why it's being told, and how the story maybe of the writer or the director also comes through in film. So I can imagine that it also enriched your musical
Absolutely,
experience. Okay, fantastic. All right, so we have actually finished part 1, so to speak, and before we go on to part 2 for you, the listener, I'm just gonna leave you with this little thoughts, or a little reminder on liminality. Yeah, this wonderful word that I'm trying to bring in, or I am bringing into this episode, and what it actually means. Now, liminality is described as the state of being in between a transitional phase, where one is neither fully in the old nor in the new. The term comes from the Latin limen, meaning threshold. Why liminality is important now, especially to me as a teacher, is because I think liminality is where transformation happens. It's uncomfortable, but it's where identities shift, ideas evolve, and real learning takes place. In art, language, and education, embracing liminality often leads to the greatest breakthroughs. Now, this is what we're doing. So what we're doing is actually celebrating those moments of uncertainty. We're being gentle to ourselves. We're giving ourselves the space, if we're not bound by some kind of deadline, to enjoy this time, enjoy the creative tension, and make the best of it. That is what this episode is about, and that's what we're going into in part 2. Okay, so while we reflect on those wonderful things, I'm going to invite you now, my cherished listener, to have a listen to Matteo's work, and feel free to tell me what you think. You can send in your opinion via Instagram or all these channels that you have on the podcast. I would be very happy to hear what you think. And Matteo, I'm sure you're also open to feedback from people, yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. So enjoy, and until next time.